Hi, my name's Eli, here on behalf of my co-authors, and today I'll be sharing a recent project in which we examine the current state of administrators on different language versions of Wikipedia. As you may know, administrators, henceforth admins, are volunteer editors with extra rights who do work beyond editing, such as settling disputes and preventing repeated vandalism, amongst other things. But why study admins at all? Maybe most importantly, they're core to keeping Wikipedia content trustworthy. And as you can see from this slide, there have been repeated concerns expressed on the signpost about declining admin numbers. We welcome questions later, but overall, our approach included quantitative analyses, interviews, and surveys of more than 2,000 current and potential admins. Let's start by looking briefly at who does admin work and how. The vast majority of admins are sysops. Members of this user group can protect pages, block users or IPs, delete and undelete pages, patrol and see patrolled edits, and manage user rights. The degree of dispersal of admin rights varies across Wikipedias. On some Wikipedias, 100% of admins are sysops, but on Russian, Japanese, and Persian Wikipedias, for example, a third of users performing administrator actions are not in the sysop user group. Let's visit two key points about how admins work. First, the majority of admin actions are taken by humans. Bots are employed as an event-based phenomenon, by which we mean they're used for a specific purpose rather than constantly carrying out large numbers of actions. Secondly, the majority of admin work is performed by a group of highly active admins. We found that the top 15% most active admins performed anywhere from 50 to 80% of all admin actions each month. Returning to a key question, are admin numbers declining? The answer for most large Wikipedias is yes. Here we show the monthly active unique admins from January 2018 to November 2024. 4 wikis trend upward, 4 are roughly neutral, but 13, over half, are declining. Looking at 200 smaller Wikipedias, the vast majority of them we found have stable or even rising numbers of admins. So it seems that large wikis are the ones that are losing admins. But why? Is it because too many people are leaving? In fact, it's the rate of admins joining that's declining, and the rate of admins leaving remains relatively static. Since 2015, the rate of admins leaving, or outflow, is fairly stable or even decreasing. What few bursts in outflow we see are generally very closely related to policy changes and activity requirements for adminship. But what about the rate of admins joining? Inflow isn't keeping pace. So we're seeing more net negatives when we look at yearly admin change. This also explains why we see so many long tenured admins, a combination of slow attrition and high motivation. Now, the reasons admins do sometimes leave are varied, and importantly, no admin in our study ever attributed leaving to a single cause. Frequently cited reasons are increasing inactivity, conflict with other admins, and a loss of motivation. Secondary factors included burnout and a feeling that they're working on a never-ending task. So where are the new admins? I'd like to highlight 2 main points. First, overall, interest in becoming an admin is relatively low. We surveyed a group of potential admins, those who formally qualify for a request for adminship, or RFA, under community rules, the process by which one must pass to become an admin. Potential admins on every surveyed project were most likely to say that they were not at all or only slightly interested in pursuing adminship. Consistent with what we heard in the interviews with current and former admins, part of the reason for this low level of interest among potential admins is because admin work is seen as taking away time from editing by potential admins. The second main takeaway is that the RFA process is a substantial barrier for those who are interested. For example, surveyed English Wikipedia admins, that is, by definition, successful RFA candidates, by a more than 50-point margin, think it's too difficult versus too easy to become an admin. This hasn't gone unnoticed by communities, and in fact, the timing of the survey coincided with the introduction of RFA process reforms on English Wikipedia. Based on the results of this project, we've identified some recommendations. Due to the fact that administrator-related policies are both generated and updated through community processes, we consider the foundation to have generally a supportive role to play. But first, what do admins want? When surveyed, current admins say they see recruitment, conflict support and policy, and automation as the top priorities. The first opportunity I'd like to highlight for the foundation is to provide communities with better access to data and insights that they can then use to assess the impact of admin policies and policy change on recruitment and activity levels. Secondly, the foundation should consider improving the automation of repetitive tasks performed by admins. The first opportunity I'd like to highlight for community policy is to consider the adoption of programming that's been used elsewhere to support current admins and increase the inflow of new admins. For example, there are various examples of support programs for admins, including on Polish, German, and French Wikipedias. There's also an opportunity to establish better means of support for admin candidates. And with that, I invite you to learn more about this topic in one of the ways you see listed on the screen. Thanks for your attention today. We'd be happy to take questions now. And importantly, thank you to all the folks listed here who made this work possible, including support from various individuals and Wikimedia Foundation teams. Thank you.